Talked to him Friday though. He didn't seem
What's up,
like
y'all?
super agitated. I mean, obviously he had a right to be annoyed, but
That's good.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all?
What's
Happy
up,
Monday,
guys?
everybody.
how's everyone feeling?
What's up, Mary? What's up,
Happy
Adrian?
Monday.
Good to see you guys. We're live every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. As a reminder, it's always fun. I got to see Corey and I both got to see lots of you guys in person this past week. I heard a couple of you guys mention in the Monday streams and that kind of stuff. So let me know if anybody's here that was at United a couple days ago. Always a good time.
Yep.
And yeah, when's the next networking event for sellers going to be? Probably Miami, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say the next event.
Yeah.
Well, at least the two that I go to every year are always Miami Sellers and then Sellers United. So
Yeah,
the
since
next big
ASD is
one.
not super worth going
I was gonna say I
anymore.
feel like
Yeah.
there's officially been a nail in the coffin of ASD.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
know
for sure.
well that as a viable option to go to.
Kind of
Yep.
seems like it. Yeah. And unless you just want to go hang out in Vegas for for fun, but a lot of the suppliers are very much questionable to say the very least at ASD recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, super good to get around the community, see a bunch of you guys. When there are good like events, especially if it's close to you, I'd really recommend pulling up to them. Lots of good relationships built. I don't know about you, Corey, but I've got a lot of took away a lot of to-dos
Yep.
in terms of like stuff to just like simple tweaks for the Amazon business, and then like big picture stuff. Good way to make some partnerships, that kind of thing.
Yeah, lots of good information came out of that event. The presentations are one thing, and they're always really good. But really, it's the shaking the hands
sure.
and talking to people there and getting to meet the people in person that normally you just talk to on Zoom or over text or Discord or whatever is really a big plus. I feel like you make relationships a lot stronger, a lot quicker. So it's worth it.
I think I only ended up watching the talks that was like you and Emily and like the people I just wanted to go support.
Yeah. I mean, really,
for the most part.
Again, like if you just didn't even go to the talks at all and just talk to people the whole time, I think you're still going to get a huge value out of it.
What is like the primary purpose? Is it like a not a vendor show, but like a booth show where like softwares and people go up put like a display on?
Yeah, there are booths and there are sponsors that will have booths, but it's mainly a marketplace reseller show. So mainly geared towards Amazon, but if you're selling on TikTok or Walmart, there were some discussions for those platforms as well. So if you're a reseller selling on a marketplace, then that's what it was geared towards.
For sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
Bunch of you guys dropping some questions as well. Yeah. So let us know in the chat if you guys have any questions we can answer for you guys. Probably be live for 30 minutes or so today.
That's what it's about, getting the numbers. Because I mean, something we talk about from a wholesale perspective is like there shouldn't be a brand deal, an order, a PO that's too big for you, right? Whether no matter what the numeric value is, whatever the value is of the order, there should always be 2, 3, 4 people that you can tap on the shoulder and be like, hey, I got some good products. Can you come in on this with me? I can't afford all of it. There should never be an RFQ that you place that's too big for you. And that's where a lot of the relationships are kind of organically generated. The networking shows, the vendor shows, the trade shows, the meetups, those sorts of things, right? Not everyone is willing to go in on a deal with someone they've never met face to face. And a lot of those relationships are solidified in the weeds at some of these shows. But again, especially if you have prospects of being a wholesale seller, you should have a speed dial of 3 to 4 sellers that are dependable, reliable, in the same sort of niche as you that you can go to if you haven't, if you come across an opportunity that maybe you can't afford.
Right.
Yeah. Same idea as reselling. I mean, we know how powerful it is to hop on a call for if it's Black Friday sales roll around. You got a bunch of Halloween sourcing opportunities right now. I know a lot of you guys are just very new to the game, so it doesn't make sense to be placing big wholesale orders and paying $1,000 to go to shows and that kind of stuff. Like, you don't need to do that to have some friends. I know a bunch of you guys have been just kind of posting on social media, that kind of stuff. We're always kind of harping on that, but it's just you hog too much opportunity that way. It's just more fun. Yeah. So let us know what other questions you guys got here. Let's see. Curious, what's your favorite AI automation tool or workflow that's helping you survive the Q4? Yeah, I mean, in terms of AI, like obviously you can use the Boxum AI. It's kind of like a specific AI for Amazon sellers. Pretty cool. Can help you like compare different sources for a product. Beyond that, like there's a lot of hype in AI, so it's hard to like know what's super useful at the moment. Just especially because like what we do is pretty like pretty custom, right? Like, going into the website and using the coupon and the gift card and that kind of stuff, like AI is just not quite there. And it's the same for wholesale, right? Like on wholesale, it's very relationship based. So if you roll up with an AI chatbot or some kind of AI automation that goes haywire, you're going to make your supplier think you don't really care pretty quick.
Yeah. And from my perspective, right, where you're going to get a lot of value out of AI and automation in our business is more on like the back end side of things and on the admin side of things. So it's not so much to do your sourcing for you or to contact suppliers or anything like that. It's more so to keep yourself organized and to really reduce the administrative workflow or workload that comes along with this business. So that's where you're going to use AI probably the most in our business.
For sure. What's up, Jonathan?
What's up, Jonathan?
Absolutely, Carlos.
How do I start selling if I don't have thousands of dollars to buy products? I mean, so you got to start somewhere, right? And so for you, that may be searching thrift stores or local tag sales or picking up free stuff on the side of the road that you can maybe clean up and start selling, right? You got to get creative, right? Because for the most part, if you're thinking about this from like a binary perspective, you either have time or you have money, right? And depending on where the spectrum you lie, right? If you have a lot of time, then it's the thrift stores, it's the used books, it's the picking up free books, right? It's doing the things that a lot of people don't want to do, but laying the foundation of your reselling business, right? Obviously, Gary V made a name for himself doing that. Obviously, Reezy did a lot of that stuff too, like tag shows or tag sales, all that stuff. You gotta get creative.
Yep. Good questions here. Let's see. There was one earlier. Jonathan said, any recommendations on CRMs for wholesale and tracking? So Garrett, I know you've got Supplier Flow. So the sign right there behind Garrett. So Garrett owns a software called Supplier Flow. I think it's supplierflow.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a wholesale specific CRM. So that'd be a good option. And if you want to go the free route, Google Sheets has always been good for us. It doesn't take a ton of customization and setup, just a few simple columns, contact information, website, etc., that can get the job done.
Clean up moves for free for people and sell the stuff yeah, of course, 100%. There's products everywhere, whether you have to pay for them or free. It's just depending on how kind of messy you want to make your hands.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to get creative with it. Yeah, for those of you guys that are super capital limited, like I got an email from somebody, I need to start making money right now. I don't have very much money, that kind of thing. Like that's not what Amazon's for. It's for the $1,000 to $5,000, maybe $10,000 if you're fortunate that you can afford to lose, throwing that into the business, and you're probably not going to see any profit back in your pocket for a few months, because most people are just going to keep reinvesting that profit, and a lot of us will keep reinvesting for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in the same token, right? I mean, if you're trying to make money, just go get like a serving job at a restaurant. Serving at a restaurant is probably some of the most easy $20, $30, $40 an hour you can make, right? Especially if you're good, right? And you care about the work and you care. But if you have no money, you don't really have many options to like make the first couple $1,000. Just get a job.
So deal, and Jimmy, I know you've asked a bunch of times, man. We'll get to it. So as far as an LOA is concerned, I'm not going to screen share any of the ones that I have, only because somebody's going to rip it and copy it and do something weird with it. So at the end of the day, it's just got to be on the company's letterhead, and it can't be from a sales rep. It's got to be actually from somebody high up at the company, ideally an executive or the owner if it's a smaller brand. There's a lot of nuances to it, but Amazon will, if you Google Amazon LOA requirements, they literally tell you what's required on their own, on the forums or on one of their internal documents. So I would start there. And then Deal Hunter asked, are there any services out there to place calls to wholesalers on your behalf if you are not fluent in English? I'm sure you can find somebody to do that for you, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think talking to suppliers and going through that whole process is one of the most valuable learning experiences in this business. So if you're not fluent in English and you really don't feel comfortable talking on the phone, then at the very least send emails, but you should be the one doing it to start, because that's one of the most high value tasks you can do in your business, and you need to learn how to do that well. So I would not recommend outsourcing that.
Yeah. Plus there's a lot of, we even talked to several people this past week that English is definitely not their first language. Like they've got an accent, that kind of thing, but they're still crushing. They're calling, like, wholesalers want your money. It doesn't matter if if you're not speaking perfect English. They want the numbers on the PO, my friend. So
yeah,
don't take that too personally, that kind of thing there. Let's see, what's up, Carlos? Yeah, I did see that. Amazon sent out an email. I think they're saying that referral fees would go up by 8 cents. So whatever, I'll take it if it's going to be 8 cents. Obviously, I'd rather it be 0, but better than a big fee increase.
Assad said he's in Canada. He said, how do we do wholesale? So it's the same. It works the same in Canada as it does in the US. So you would just start calling brands or start calling distributors and look to start buying their products. Really the exact same process as it is in the US. So watch some of my videos in order to learn how to get started.
Corey's got an awesome series on like kind of starting from scratch. Is it the 60-day or 90-day series? I forget.
Yeah, 60 days. So
cool.
Y'all can go back on my channel. I posted it, I think, around November of last year. It's crazy. It's been almost a year ago. But I think the first episode is titled, I Locked Myself in a Room for 60 Days. So let's start there.
Very YouTube. Sounds awesome there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does the same go for Matt? Usually a brand's going to like make you sign that rather than like the LOA kind of be drafted together.
Yep. Tommy said, any updated tips and strategy for wholesale? So as far as updated tips, I mean, there's not really anything new. I mean, everything that has always worked still works. I mean, that's what I think is the beauty of this business model, is that there's, the simple things work, and that's pretty much it. And that'll probably always be the case. So it's just, calling on the phone instead of emailing, being sure to follow up, adding value when it makes sense to add value, knowing when to press, knowing when to hold back, and then, just being communicative, responding quickly, being a professional, all those little things.
Absolutely. What's up? Let's see. Does Amazon decrease fees for bigger sellers? Nope. That's kind of something you would think that they would do, right? You'd think big companies are getting better deals and that kind of stuff. That's one of the best parts of Amazon, to be honest, is the playing field is very level. Pretty much the only seller with an advantage is going to be Amazon themselves. Just because they're going to win more sales, their platform, that kind of thing. But yeah, no, you're playing on the same ballpark as everybody else. The only like small advantages you might see is an FBM seller that does a ton of volume. You can like work out a contract with like your local UPS or FedEx. Some of you guys might already need to look into that. It's the minimums for that aren't as crazy as you think. But that's like the only thing I can think of. So as far as FBA goes, literally everyone's on the exact same playing field too.
Yeah, and when it comes to FBM, I mean, that's a good point. Like sometimes you'll see, I was actually telling somebody this to at Sellers United. They were asking about like the FBM listings that are doing a ton of volume. They're like, well, why is there no FBA sellers on these certain listings? And the point that I made is that a lot of those products are big and bulky. They were talking about, I think it was like a bag of dog food. It's a specific product they mentioned. And the point that I made is that the only way to make profit on those super big and bulky products is selling them FBM, because a lot of those sellers are doing so much FBM volume. They have really good negotiated shipping rates with FedEx and with UPS. So they're going to be paying way less in shipping than somebody like me and you would. So yeah, that's really the only, I guess, advantage you get in terms of cost compared to everybody else, aside from, if you're buying your products in bulk.
I have a friend here in town who they UPS and FedEx that would like all of them pick up like multiple pallets full of like grocery multi-packs every day, all FBM. It's a very cool operation.
Yeah, that's crazy. Any date you recommend to FBM a ton for Q4 and wholesale? So really all of Q4, you can be FBMing at all times, and not even just Q4, but all year round. I would say that it's going to get a lot more difficult to get products into FBA and checked in time for Black Friday, starting, I mean, pretty much within this week or within the next week or two. So I'd send as much as you can to FBA now, but hold some back for FBM.
Yeah. In the same token, though, there shouldn't be necessarily a crazy rush unless it's a seasonal stuff, right? Whether it gets checked in Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or 2 weeks past, if it's good product, it's going to sell regardless. Right. So I feel like a lot of people give too much airtime about like making sure things are trying to check in for the holiday rush, when if you're not talking about like a Christmas decorational item, it's probably not even worth the mental bandwidth. Just keep sending stuff in, just keep buying, and you're going to win long term regardless.
Yep. Yeah. Something a lot of people do, especially if you're trying to like really crush, is make sure it's like a certain unit minimum if you're going to FBM it, otherwise FBA, because you don't want to have 100 products you have 5 units of sitting in your house. It's just kind of a big mess to deal with.
In the same way, you can make the argument the other way, right? You don't want to send 100 things of 5 units to FBA because that's just annoying to do as well.
Right.
I mean, that kind of goes back to, making sure you're buying enough to be interesting in general. Yeah. Now, if you're a brand new seller, you have to ignore all of that and you have to make every dollar you possibly can.
You haven't earned the leverage to do so.
Yeah.
So
Tommy, as you scale, like that's something we're kind of big on, is make sure you're like all those every product you sell is like a little bit of management work. So you don't want to scale a bunch of $10 profit total items.
Yeah.
Yes, you bought 100%, and that's something that again, not enough people actually talk about. That gives you so much leverage in terms of just like increasing your buy box exposure, your surface area of luck. Right, you could list FBM and FBA, especially if it's a really good product, and especially if a steady flow of products incoming. Right, always have some units listed FBM. When you have enough inbound, switch them over to FBA and just keep it rolling.
Absolutely. No, that's actually a very slept on point. Like people think that you can't FBM or FBA products on the same listing, but you absolutely can.
In the same token, right? There's probably 2 or 3 additional duplicate listings as well. Right. This is a huge thing when we're talking about back to school and something like the crayons and stuff. Right. You can have a 12-pack of markers listed on the 1-pack, the 2-pack, the 3-pack, the 4-pack. You could have FBM and FBI in each, and you can be getting one UPC SKU sold and have access to 20 different buy boxes. Right. So you're buying one product, but you have multiplied your surface area of the buy box 20-fold. And that's how you can really start to scale.
Yep, 100%. A few questions that we missed earlier. I just want to touch on these. So Tommy said, Corey, do you recommend me to hire a VA from Pakistan? I've just recently hired a VA for my wholesale business at $7 an hour. So that it's hard to say. I mean, based on that, there's a lot of questions I would have. But again, based on that question, I assume you're probably on the newer side. And if you are on the newer side, I would not recommend you hire a VA. I would recommend you hold off until you've got a few, if you're doing wholesale, right? Until you have a few purchase orders under your belt, until you know how the business works, you know how to source, you know how to talk to suppliers, you know how to manage cash flow, etc. And then once you're at that point, then I think it makes sense to hire a VA, but only if you're so busy that you're just dropping the ball on certain things. A lot of people can get pretty far without any VAs.
Yeah, for sure. What up, Joe?
Hey, Joe, what's up?
Joe was hanging out with us in New Jersey as well.
Yep. He runs a prep center up in New York as well. Let's see, 5507 West Logistics. And if you guys are looking for a good prep center up there on the East Coast, just Google 5507 West Logistics. He's got a really good operation. We've worked with him for quite a while.
For sure. Let's see, Ubaldo, you're asking about accounting and bookkeeping. I've never heard of that specific company, Ubaldo. I would recommend Tall Oak. Our friend Chris Potter runs that. He does bookkeeping for a bunch of our friends, and I know like several hundred other Amazon sellers as well. So
yeah,
if you want somebody to take care of that, Chris has been great for lots of people there.
Yep,
correct. You can't have 2 simultaneous FBA offers. That's against TOS.
That is true. Yeah, they don't technically enforce it, but you don't want to like make a habit out of it just in case they ever do. Yeah, I wonder if back in the day, if it actually did manipulate the buy box and they fixed it. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a policy that's left. And back in the day, like early Amazon, if you listed it multiple times, you actually got extra buy box or something like that.
I bet I could see that. Yeah, and that's probably why the rule's in place. But this is actually a really good question. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody ask this. Easy Mode said, hey, how do you guys deal with brands that try to push items on you? You want to keep the relationship because they have good products to sell, but the items they push on you are really unsellable. So this is a really good question.
Definitely seen that.
Yeah, it's going to come down to a few factors, right? So like you said, it's like you want to keep the relationship alive. You want to have the opportunity to sell some of their better products, but they're trying to push some of their worst products on you. And really, it just comes down to a question of, well, if you had to buy a few units of the worst selling products, is that going to unlock some of the better products for you? So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on their worst products just to get a chance to sell the better ones. But what I would say is be willing to invest in the relationship. And sometimes you might need to buy a couple $100 of some of the worst selling products in order to prove to them that you're serious and get access to some of those better products. So if you're going to buy some of those, those slower products, just get a verbal agreement with the brand up front that says, hey, I'm more than happy to buy some of these slower selling products. But will I be able to have access to some of your better products on the next order if I agree to do this for you? Right. So again, be willing to invest in the relationship and just make sure that that there's a road to you getting access to the better products if you do that.
Yep, for sure. Let's see. How about with different expiration dates? Usually if you have 2 expiration dates, rather than make 2 listings, I'll just take the low expiration date and put it on the one with the longer one. You're pretty much never going to sell something that runs into expiration date issues unless it's like a really bad item.
Nicholas said, just created a hard connect in a store and getting access to this brand that makes $1.5 million a month in revenue on Amazon. That's awesome. Yeah. Tell us about that. Was that a store manager that you talked to that kind of put you onto that? How'd you come across that?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool if you're getting like a brand access from that. I've definitely seen people, oh, camera died. Time to change batteries out. I've definitely seen people, making that work with just like clearance type stuff. But if you're building like a brand relationship, that's even cooler.
So Easy Mode said, definitely have access to all the good products, but with each PO, it's almost a solid 10 to 15% of poop items. Well, yeah, then again, you got to just kind of factor that in. So it's like, all right, well, if 10 to 15% of my PO has to be some of these slower moving products, am I still going to be profitable overall on the total PO? Right. That's just something to consider. But, sometimes you got to take the bad with the good. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because that's a moat, right? There's a lot of sellers that they only want to cherry pick the best products and they're not going to be willing to work with a brand if they have to sell anything they don't want to. So just know that a lot of sellers might pass on that, which is good for you. That could be a really good moat. And Deal Hunter said, could you ungate a brand using one of their cheap products, even if it doesn't have a listing on Amazon, or only use existing products on Amazon for that brand? Do you know
you can use anything under that brand?
Okay, you can.
It's like a pretty common misconception. Like it totally makes sense that you'd have to because you go through a specific ASIN to ungate it, but the link is the same link no matter what ASIN you go to. So it shows there's no unique pathing by ASIN. So you can submit anything. Sometimes you'll see maybe there's a $1 version of a product that they sell that there's no listing for on Amazon. It's like a really small, best example I can think of is let's say you see the 2 pill pouches of Advil at the store. Technically you could get 10 of those, whatever the equivalent that is in a brand you want to sell, even if that listing's not on Amazon. Seen people do that to get some get an invoice created for a more expensive brand.
Nice. I didn't even realize that. I always thought there had to be an ASIN on Amazon, but I guess not. Yeah,
it just says any product in that brand. Let's see. New seller, how to find ungated brands to start selling it. Let's see. Start with 3K. Yeah, 3K is plenty to start with. I have a really good video in terms of auto ungated sourcing for online arbitrage. I'd start with that, Cortez. Just look up auto ungated sourcing on YouTube. Probably be my video or Miles' videos that pops up. You can just watch that basically. There's also you can just start plugging brands in, especially plugging in brands that are sold by people who sell retail store brands, right? Because if they're buying from a retail store brand, they're buying from lots of other retail stores as well. And you can figure out what of those might be auto ungate, that kind of thing for you.
Yep.
Is there a way to get free pickups from UPS at your house? No, it's $6, $7, something like that. They're not bad.
Yeah, it depends on. I think it depends on how far you. Usually it's $6 though.
Yeah, well, which instantly beats.
Driving to the store, loading up into the car. Yeah, for sure. Even in the mega hustle days, it always makes sense to pay $6 to save yourself a trip to the store.
Absolutely.
There's some things you can skimp on when you're stretching every dollar, but no reason to do that.
Especially early on, Jimmy, group buys are going to be a huge productivity hack. Right, because you call a lot of brands, some of them may have a 20, 30, 40K MOQ, and you may not be ready for that, right? Especially if early on in your wholesale days. And so, like we were talking about before, having a roster of sellers that you can rely on and tap on to put up a $5, $10, $15 or $1,000 PO if the overall order is a little bit too steep for you, is tremendously, tremendously valuable. Because you still can get access to those products, and of course, then just key in on a couple people, and in reality, and ideally, have those people also start to kind of hunt down some deals for you, and maybe you can get reciprocated.
Yep, absolutely.
Garrett, how are we feeling about that Giants game yesterday?
Still dealing with it a little, the mental.
A little under the weather. Voice gave out from all the yelling at the TV screen.
I cannot believe that happened. 33 points in the fourth quarter is beyond me.
Wait, so they were up. You're telling me they were up 32-0, and then what happened?
They were up 19-0, and then it kind of went back and forth. But it was 19-0.
They gave up 33 in the last.
Yeah, Giants scored some in the fourth quarter, but Broncos themselves scored 33 points total in the fourth quarter. They were up 19-0 in the beginning. Then it kind of went back and forth.
Oh my god!
See, Nicholas is a Lions fan there.
That's terrible.
Let's see. Nicholas said Nicholas is the one who landed that retail brand direct. Said he called location employee, told you to call somewhere else for the owner works. You're gonna meet over the weekend. Nice, yeah.
Nice.
That's a good way to do it.
Even that alone, right? You may think that's like a simple act and something that's kind of like taken for granted or given, but that's something alone a lot of people aren't going to do, right? You ask 10 people, a lot of people are, as I saw Kaj referred to as like a keyboard warrior, just sending a bunch of emails behind the screen, hoping for a reply. And the reality is a lot of those are going to get unseen.
Yep. No, Nicholas, that's awesome. I mean, meeting in person always, in my opinion, it'll increase your chance of landing that deal or at least getting a favorable outcome by like 3 to 5x, right? You're going to have a much better opportunity meeting that person in person. So just go prepared, and I think you'll do well. Good work.
Have you ever just rolled up, Corey? I assume you're always talking about a meeting. Have you ever just pulled up to a warehouse?
Yeah, I've never done like a cold, I guess like door knock, but I mean, I've met plenty of suppliers in person. There's 2 that I can think of off the top of my head here in Charlotte that I've worked with, that I've bought from, or that I've, I guess, sat down with. But yeah, I think it's one of the best opportunities. And really, I mean, if you live in a big city that has a big industrial area nearby, I think there's nothing wrong with going to the industrial park and just knocking on a few doors,
walk around, see what happens.
Yeah, telling them what you do, and I guarantee you'll have some warm responses from.
They'll remember you, whether it's good or bad. They'll remember you. That's better than nothing.
When you're driving, right? Yeah, you're driving. You're gonna see, a bunch of different distribution company trucks, phone numbers, signs, all that sort of stuff. I mean, just alone, how many like dot and
oh yeah.
That's the Corey Ganim Twitter method right there. If you see a supplier on a truck, you tag Corey. That's what you got to do.
Yep, exactly.
That was pulling up. That was the Kaj original claim to fame, was pulling up on the warehouse. I remember that was what Miles and I were asking.
Yeah, I know.
The very first podcast we talked about that with him.
Yeah, that's actually such a good story. That's how he got started in wholesale, which is awesome.
He gained notoriety. We all were like, that was instantly associating him with someone that was willing to do what other people aren't.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Nicholas said, only found that brand because of one of your Smart Scout videos. Awesome, man. That's really good work.
Cool. All right. Probably a good spot to wrap up for the day there. Good to see everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us here. And we'll be live again every Monday with this crew. And then I'm live Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So make sure you subscribe to all these guys if you're not already. And yeah, excited to keep crushing Q4 with you guys.
All right, guys. See y'all next week.
Awesome. You guys have a good rest of your day here.
See ya.